What's up, Savvy Expats? Let me hit you with a retirement strategy that very few people in the US talk about, and that is earn in dollars, spend in pesos. This right here is the essence of the whole lifestyle arbitrage concept that we always talk about. Because you're not downsizing your life, you're upgrading your life in aspects that you, in this current stage of your life, now owe yourself. I'm talking having a new sense of peace, having an abundance of relationships, and getting more bang for your buck with your hard-earned dollars. But the thing is, achieving this doesn't come by guesswork. It doesn't come by joining Facebook groups that magically lays out all the logistical steps for you to make this move. And it most definitely doesn't come from a vlogger telling you fantasy dreams of living like a king on $500 per month in the Philippines. So in this video, I'm going to break down for you how you can make this seemingly daunting transition into a reality. No BS, no sugarcoating, no fluff. So let's get straight into it. Step number one, let's acknowledge what you currently might be feeling. I hop on calls with expats every day and I hear the same thing time and time again. The US is no longer set up ideally for retirees. As a matter of fact, half of all American retirees may feel like their savings and pension is not enough to live a high quality lifestyle. Because at the end of the day, you worked your whole life and by the time you retire, you're paying $2,000 for rent, $600 for groceries, $400 for car insurance, and don't even get me started on the medical bills. And for what? You live in a society that feels more isolated every year. You've got rising crime, political division, no real sense of community, and a life void of meaningful companionship. So many retirees tell me that they feel invisible, like they don't belong in a country that they worked decades to support. And that's why we're seeing a lot of retirees leaving. They're not running from something, they're running to something better. Well, I'll tell you, at least for the 75 expats that we helped relocate over here, it's not too shabby to say the least. For example, one of our expats, Michael, we made a video with him a month or two back. He lives in a high-rise condo in BGC that's very modern, has a maid to come by weekly to clean his place, and he can take weekend trips out to the beach and go island hopping for a flight less than $100. For our other expats like Ralph, he's able to walk downstairs, grab a coffee for $2, take a moment to walk through palm tree-lined streets, and he's surrounded by locals who are warm, friendly, and respectful. Yes, life here is slower, but it's also richer. There's community, there's culture, and there's peace. And that's where the real value lies, not that things are just cheaper, but it's better. With that, step number two, let's evaluate your cost living here in the Philippines. If you're coming here solo, looking for a quality one-bedroom unit in the heart of one of the most expensive cities in the Philippines, BGC, which is very westernized and convenient, we're looking at roughly anywhere between $600 to $1,000 per month. For groceries and eating out regularly, as long as you're not going to steakhouses every day, we're talking $300 to $400 per month. For healthcare and premium insurance, $150 to $250 per month. For transportation, $100 to $200 per month if you're using Grab. And if you really want to ball out like some of our other expats, if you want a personal, on-call, full-time driver, that can be anywhere between $500 to $600 per month, excluding gas. Then if we're talking travel, gym memberships, entertainment, visa renewals, this can be anywhere between $500 to $1,000 per month, depending on what you like to do for fun. And so when it's all said and done, that's roughly $1,800 to $2,000 per month to live a very comfortable, quality lifestyle in one of the nicest parts in the Philippines. Compare that to what you get in the States, maybe rent, a couple of bills, a weekend getaway that you have to plan a couple months in advance, and still being stuck in the same boring, monotonous routine. But here, you're not just surviving, you're actually thriving. Now let's talk Philippine game plan, because this is where the real actionable steps lies. And this is always the first step that we take with all of our expats in our 4 key pillar framework for a successful transition here. And so in your case, choosing the right city for you, for your particular wants and needs would be the best first step here. We always say BGC is hands down the best soft landing city in the Philippines to go to first because of the Western and convenient environment here. It's also best to use this city as essentially a landing point to then go explore the rest of the Philippines and even other Southeast Asian countries. Because the last thing you want to do is to wing this move, drop yourself into the middle of the boonies, aka the province, in no man's land, and expect yourself to know the ins and outs of the Philippines. Let alone be far away from quality Western medical facilities like St. Luke's Medical Center in BGC. Now, if you're looking for a mix between having the Western conveniences of a metropolis while still getting that sort of provincial Philippine feel, being close to the beaches, then that's what I'd recommend Cebu. Not to mention, the cost of living in Cebu is slightly more affordable than BGC. The only trade-off is there is less to do in Cebu compared to the rest of Manila, even BGC, from my personal experience. Now, if you're looking for culture and character, something that many expats, even myself, admits that BGC does lack sometimes, then this is where I would put you onto Makati. Cost of living in Makati is pretty much the same as BGC. However, when it comes to getting more size for what you pay for, you do get more bang for your buck in Makati compared to BGC. And that's also part of the reason why I moved to Makati. I know in a couple videos back, I mentioned that I left BGC. Part of the reason is because I get more space here in my condo where I wanted an office. I'll be real. Yes, BGC is top notch, but for a lot of expats, after their first year out here in the Philippines, it does begin to feel like the Truman Show a bit. And not for nothing, the city is perfect on the surface level. But once again, if you're the type that wants speakeasy bars, live jazz events, being around locals, quiet coffee shops to people watch, thrift stores, and a few hole-in-the-wall joints here and there, then Makati is your place. This city, being one of the first business districts in the Philippines, even before BGC broke ground, is brimming with culture, energy, and character. And I'll tell you, we get the majority of our expats move to BGC first with the sole purpose for them to get accustomed to the culture and have a soft landing destination. But I guess you could say some of them do graduate from BGC and then re-engage our help to move over to a city like Makati. Then from there, once you've dialed in where you want to call home base, at least for your first year here, then this is where you have to lock in your rental. No sugarcoating, this is usually the trickiest parts for a lot of expats here. The other day, I met a lady from California, one of our expat client mutuals, and won't name names, but she is a big startup tech gal who decided to do business here. Coming into this move, she thought that the Philippines and moving here would be a breeze. But long story short, she experienced what so many expats go through in their initial stages when moving here, the good old classic bait and switch. She signed the lease on a quote-unquote premium unit that looked very modern, spacious, and clean in the photos. This unit was supposedly a one-of-a-kind sort of unit. And so her being stunned by the unit and very eager to move to the Philippines, she went with the help with a quote-unquote trusted realtor and put 6 months down of rent. And lo and behold, she lost $18,000. $18,000 just to get a unit that was cramped, moldy, run down, and in a sketchy neighborhood. She right there experienced two things that so many expats who stubbornly believe they can DIY it. Number one, getting bait and switch on a distasteful home, and secondly, getting skin taxed. You see, many landlords and realtors here, when they see that you're not from this country, will mark up the unit by a couple extra $100. And that's why we do what we do, so that you, moving on to what should be retired life, doesn't begin to feel like a chore and a big headache, and also a couple grand down. And more than that, so that you actually save money. Majority of our expats save at least $5,000 within their first year here in the Philippines. For example, you remember that same guy Michael, one of our clients who we talked about earlier? We negotiated his lease down from $1,500 per month down to $1,100 per month. By the end of his year-long lease, he ended up saving $4,800 by doing it with us, as opposed to trusting in his own knowledge of the local rental market here. But more than just saving money, doing this with professional guidance instead of doing this blindly is valuing your peace of mind, not just a few grand. If you, just like Michael or even Mart, Bruce, Anthony, or Ralph, want this sort of assistance, then click the link down below and I'll see how I can help you out. Now let's talk about getting your finances dialed in. Step number 5 is to open up a local Philippine bank account. This is one of those steps that sounds simple, but it does become a headache if you don't really know what you're doing here. Because here's the deal. Philippine banks love red tape. If you walk in with a foreigner with no local address, no local ID, and no idea how things work, they'll smile at you and politely direct you to the door. And so here's what you need to do to bypass that nonsense and get set up with this local Philippine bank account right away. First, you'll need a valid Philippine address. And that's why we always handle opening up the Philippine bank account for our expats after we've already locked in their lease. A lot of expats tend to miss these steps being in the right order. And then once we got your lease agreement signed in hand, then that's what we can use to prove your local Philippine residence. Second, you'll need a valid ID. This can be your passport. Third, you'll need your ACR card, or in other words, the Alien Certificate or Registration Card. Essentially, this is just a valid ID for foreigners in the Philippines. You'll automatically get this ID once you've extended your tourist visa past 59 days here. However, for a lot of our expats, they really don't like waiting 59 days to get those post-dated checks to comply with the landlord's rental requirements. That's where we step in. We expedite that into 2 weeks. Now, here's the tricky part that most people don't know. Some banks here do require that you have a local reference. So having a contact to a citizen who already opened up an account with that bank. Some expats don't even know anybody here because it's their first time in the country, and you might not either. But because we've already done this dozens of times, we already have partnered branches and local account officers who we endorse you to on your behalf. With that, you get priority access and post-dated checks within the same day of stepping into that bank branch. But again, you don't need to necessarily expedite it with a local help like we have. You can still wait those 59 days to get your ACR card, no issue. But if you do want to skip the nonsense, not having those 3-hour waits, not them telling you come back tomorrow, no getting rejected, then it's best that you use or make a local contact out here in the Philippines. And then once you've opened up your local Philippine bank account, you're pretty much 2 steps into that 4 key pillar framework that we talked about. You've already dialed in which city you want to live in, you locked down a rental there, you opened up your local Philippine bank account. The last 2 parts would be to dial in which visa you want to get, whether it's tourist visa or the SRRV retirement visa. And then from there, that's where you would choose a healthcare plan and you're pretty much good to go. So with that said, retiring smart isn't about pinching pennies. It's about making your money work harder for you in a place that feels lighter, slower, and more meaningful. And you've already done the hard part, the years of hard work, the grind, the sacrifice. Now it's time to live life on your own terms. To wake up with peace, not pressure, and to stretch your dollar without stretching your sanity. And that's exactly what we do. And so if you're serious about making this move to the Philippines within the next 1 to 4 months, not just dreaming about it, but having a real actionable help with this move, then click the link down below, book a call with me and my team, and we'll see how we can help you out done the right way. And so thank you for watching Savvy Expats. I really do hope it's provided you a lot of value in terms of the next steps from here. I've talked to so many expats and they always tell me the same thing. Evan, I don't even know where to start. And that's where you start, that 4 key pillar framework: the rental, the visa, the bank account, and the healthcare. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and we'll see you in the next one. God bless.